Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Hearthstone 4 Kaiserreich as Ireland. Let us continue on from we last left off. So, we are currently in the middle of an election period. The election is going to be happening in about 2.5 weeks, give or take. Anything we want? What do we want right now? Bonus in it. Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty good. So does this go away? Okay, so this will go away if we don't, what are they actually at right now? 30 and 25? Okay, that's fine. The British question. In light of decreasing German power in the wake of Black Monday, the question of Ireland's relation with the closest neighbor, the Union of Britain, has become a permanent matter in the run-up to the election. Sinn Féin has been announced left, right, and center by opposition as being unpatriotic as a result for their support for the Ulster privileges and continued Irish membership in Middle Europa, and have eagerly seized the opportunity to play the nationalist and Anglophobic card, calling for increased security and armament to safeguard Ireland from British invasion and infiltration. The FC has, in an unusual move, pushed for close relations between the Irish Republic and the Union of Britain. In a speech that has provoked much controversy, Eamon de Vera argued that so long as the two nations could stick together, can stick to tending their own gardens, they find themselves natural allies as the islands of Ireland and Great Britain. In de Vera's views, would always possess a mutual self-interest in preserving each other's independence, for their own sovereignty would be placed in jeopardy if the other one was to be threatened. The Labour parties also call for diplomacy with the Union of Britain, arguing from a trading standpoint that the lack of commerce with Ireland's closest neighbour is a hindrance to Irish economic growth, and the open trade would improve the business prospects of Irish traders, who currently are forced to resort to selling the Union to the Union under the table. Though an abnormal argument for Labour to make, it helps to deter accusations of harboring syndicalist sympathies in which the party, due to their social democratic policies and trade union ties, remains deathly afraid. Okay, well, we're going to lose 25 political power now. I mean, they want us to choose conservative options. But the people have spoken. The people do not want the Conservative Party to win. They want Labour or Sinn Féin. It's a 50-50 split. Okay, so you're going to be done soon. Our volunteers arrive now in Carlos, Spain instead. And then you allow us to move forward only after one side is actually won. Does it get bypassed if, I don't think it actually does get bypassed. Okay, so let's move. Where do I want you? Thing is, I don't like the Carlists also suck. CNT is just so much better than both other Spanish factions. That's always just kind of a mess to deal with. Also, I should be saving more often. I gotta save after every episode just to make sure I have thumbnails for my stuff. Counting the ballots. 1 year has come and gone since the dreadful events of Black Monday, and in spite of Collins' administration's best efforts, the communists begin to reign within the Irish Republic, and the several years prior to the crisis remains nowhere to be found. The growing numbers are increasingly animated by fear and worry for the future of the country, families and financial security, and the opposition feeling a sense of deep anger at the government's policies, perceived to be responsible for the economy's desperate state. The preceding 3 months have borne witness to one of the most bitter and antagonistic election campaigns since the monumental election of 1918, as the parties of Ireland and their loyal followers wage a no-holds-barred battle of propaganda upon each other. From dramatic posters to furious speeches to drunken insults hurled on street corners, accusations towards opponents and secret syndicalist or integralist sympathies, treason, and West Britanism have become commonplace rhetoric. Fortunately, these contests across the center of the island have remained primarily verbal, though those resident within the province of Munster and Ulster often do not enjoy the same luck. The former seeing several incidents of violent brawls between the left and the right, and the later becoming more of a powder keg than ever. As the turbulent election season finally draws to a close, fingers are crossed throughout the nation that the ballots are counted, and after much apprehension, one candidate emerged as the victor. The leader of the next government is William O'Brien. Okay, so the Labour Party has won the election here. I hate his... What's going on with this man's hair? William O'Brien, my man. Okay, so the American Civil War is now kicking off. Of course, it is going to be a four-way. O'Brien's dilemma. William O'Brien, despite being thought of by most as the underdog in the presidential election, has emerged victorious. Labour and the rural ally Clan de Tanham additionally achieved a record result in the parliamentary election as Irish voters turned to the change offered by the two parties after years of economic crisis. Unfortunately, in spite of their impressive advance, their current loyal total seats of Dáil remain insignificant to form a majority government, and achieving this will require the coalition with either the National Development Party or the Progressive Labour Party. This fork in the road has left Labour's leadership at loggerheads. The PLP has formed to provide a radical alternative to the Labour Party after O'Brien expelled its leader, Owen Sheshi Skeffington, as the result extended bad blood between extensive bad blood exists between these parties. The Labour leader, alongside pragmatic elements of Labour, such as Thomas J. O'Connell and James Everett, favor a coalition with the NDP, feeling that the Lemis's endorsement will defang the frequent red baiting flung at Labour by opponents, and the PLP cannot be trusted not to promote an unacceptably extreme agenda. Other prominent Labour figures, including William Norton and Richard Cornish, have advocated for burying the hatchet with Shelley Skeffington, who I'm pretty sure is the guy from fucking Nightmare Before Christmas. Norton has privately met with O'Brien, attempting to persuade him the allegations that the PLT, being a cynicalist Trojan horse, are simply fear-mongering, and that the alliance within the party is the only chance Labour shall get to show the Irish people that they can deliver real reform, and that the NDP would most likely compel Labour to water down even moderate, middle-of-the-road programs in exchange for their backing. Michael Dorlin, leader of the Clan de Tanam, have also sought to sway O'Brien, fearing that the NDP would overshadow CNAT in a coalition due to their greater influence and support base among big farmers. Well, I think we're going to go for the NDP, because, again, we don't really do market liberal too often. Like, I have to say, I think market liberal has to be our least played ideology, right? If somebody out there wants to look at every single campaign we've ever done and kind of see which ideologies we play, I'm actually curious to know who we play the least. Purchase small arms. 40 influence. Join the Kaiser. So you need 50 influence points. We can join the Kaiser Wilhelm Society. This, okay, basically the corrupt deal is makes Germany just win the game. Okay, so these are just both like, if you choose any of these, Germany just wins. And I'm assuming the same happens here. Yeah, if you take any of these, Britain just wins automatically. What about you? Parliamentarian wing of... Okay, we don't care about that too much right now. So, of course, we are going to go with... NDP is in government. Progressive Labour Party is in government. I guess, have they not said yes to our coalition yet? I guess not. Maybe that hasn't happened yet. Reassure the clergy. Well, let's... 100 political power, 10% stability. We'll go with this one first. Seems pretty nice. How are you guys doing, by the way? 40-40? Is there a point where this gets, like, too... Like, there's too many points? I don't know. Sealing the deal. The negotiation between Labour, Clan de Tanam, and the National Development Party went smoothly. The Labour Party, already more than used to the careful compromises and balancing acts essential for a left-wing party to survive in a conservative society, surrounded by and under threat from syndicalist powers, it was agreed that Saint-Lamas would be granted the post of Pro-Heir, or Prime Minister. In the coalition government, and although Michael Donnellan grumbled at this development and the prospect of concessions being made to Ireland's ranchers, moderate elements in his party were satisfied. Though keeping both parties satisfied may prove tricky a task for O'Brien. Ireland's lower classes are jubilant at the exchange of leadership, having borne the harshest consequences of Black Monday, and hopeful that a new government will prioritize the needs of the Irish people over numbers on a graph. Businessmen and big farmers worry about the positive economic and social implications of Labour and CNTs heading in the nation, but are somewhat reassured by the presence of the NDP in the cabinet should keep any radicals in check. The response among Catholics in Ulster have been generally positive in light of O'Brien's electoral pledges to address discrimination against Catholics, though many remain skeptical of his leftist politics and find his beliefs that Catholics and Protestants should overcome their differences through uniting as workers naive and out of touch. Upper and middle class Protestants are concerned that the result could lead to an upsurge of the union activity, but considering a Labour administration, the lesser two evils, breathing a sigh of relief that there isn't a SC or worse, an AN at the helm instead. Okay, so former government. Economy laws costs go down by 25%. We already have like, oh, that's gonna be like really cheap. And we get 150 political power. We get 5% stability off of this. Political advisor costs goes by 25%. Coalition members will only grant 75% of political power they would otherwise provide. Okay. So you're still cheaper. We have a negative 33 and then a plus 25. But look how cheap this shit is. Oh my god. What is that? It's a negative 58%? Go straight to partialization, please. Thank you very much. That has saved us a lot of political power. Okay, give you a little bit of support on this push position. There's the UI change. Yeah, I know they changed how the coalition works. I like it because you don't need to hover over this anymore. You can very easily see at a glance, like, oh, who's in my coalition? Oh, it's Buddy and Dude. Okay, one of our commanders have left. The election of the new government has not had a large impact on the makeup of the army, despite the high-ranking role held by former... okay. Does that affect us? No, we didn't have him hired. I always love when you get like events that are like, this general has died, or this general is mad at the government and has left the army, and it's like, I didn't even hire you, dude. You're doing like nothing at all. Okay, we gotta finish Black Monday, which I mean makes sense. What does this need us to do? 9 further levels of Black Monday remain. To complete, we are not still suffering from the effects of Black Monday. Okay, thanks. Cool. Is there anything we need to do about that? Or is that just going to go away on its own? Like, it just needs to take down 9 times. No, I don't think so. Is it? It's not you. I'm guessing it's in here, maybe? Because we can't do this tree anymore. Or maybe we have to get down this tree a little bit more as well. Well, we'll figure it out. You're another negative 15%. We're going to be like, what are we at right now? We're at 23 at the moment. And we're still dealing with Black Monday. We are going to hit like negatives. Which I don't know what's going to happen at that point. But we're going to go fucking crazy. Ulster at the crossroads. While Black Monday made the 1937 general election a tense and bitter affair throughout the country, in no area was this more true than in Ulster, where the age-old antagonisms brought once again to the fore by the collapse of the post-British Revolution status quo, having clearly reflected an electoral result across the province. Though Labour managed to win Belfast West, AN has otherwise swept the board of predominantly Catholic districts. A decisive statement reflecting the growing unwillingness of Catholics to accept the discrimination against them and a protest against the other parties, which they perceive to abandon their own flesh and blood, which some commentators have begun to compare to Sinn Féin's famously overwhelming victory in 1918. Protestant districts, too, have been shifted in fortune, and several seats have changed hands to new challengers of the UDP's left and right, the Northern Ireland Labour Party, and the Ulster Protestant League, respectively. Harry Midgley's NILP, though officially non-sectarian, have become a party primarily of the Protestant working class, and there exist whispers of support for a union of Northern Ireland within the Union of Britain, with rhetoric playing on the resentment of the upper class of 1926, choosing money over Ulster. The UPL, led by former UUP politician James Hanna McCormick, is stridently anti-Catholic and also regard the UDP as traitors, calling for a policy of abstention towards Dáil Éireann. With the change of the UDP's position as the Big Ten representatives of the Protestant community is no longer as certain as it once was. Okay, well, everyone once again is mad at me. Why? No, fucking 400 years ago, King Henry the fucking second, I think. Was it second? And one of them, maybe the third. Fat fuck. It's all his fault. We wouldn't be dealing with Ulster if he decided just to, like, not divorce his wife, and now look at us. We're fucked. Second American Civil War. Europe was once the hotspot of Irish emigration, but as prospects for the Irish lessened on the continent in the 19th century, as the British in their post-Napoleonic dominance applied pressure on European powers to disband the Irish brigades, the United States of America, a republic founded in rebellion against the empire, emerged as a new hotspot for Irish immigrants. Although they faced many issues integrating at first, they soon became a core part of American society, and the Irish struggle would owe much of their efforts to Irish Americans. A key turning point for this was the acceptance of the American nation was the American Civil War, where droves of Irishmen, including famed Irish revolutionaries, fought for the Union, and to a much lesser extent the Confederacy. For the second time in less than 75 years, no matter their colors, in each American trench, Ireland's sons can be found. On one side, Walsh's guns down another Kelly. It is truly a brother's war. Where America once promised the Irish an end to their troubles, our people now feel compelled to offer Americans the same. With or without the support of the government, the Irish people will surely come to America's aid. To stop them would be a fool's errand. The syndicalists and the elements of the PLP naturally favor their ideological brethren fighting for the CSA, while the rest of the Irish political spectrum stands behind the United States government in suppressing the syndicalist insurrection. Needless to say, if Ireland should choose to involve ourselves in American conflict informally, it shall have no shortage of volunteers. Blame the Normans? I'm gonna blame fucking Julius Caesar soon. Motherfucker's like, I'm gonna invade Britain. You didn't need to, my dude. You didn't have to invade Britain. But you decided to do it anyways. I mean, he didn't invade Ireland, but, you know. We'll worry about that another time. Okay, 521 days. 9 further levels. How many Civil War sides? It's a 4-way because Huey Long was elected. Okay, let's go with Irratio. 109 days on you. You guys are still both tied. I like to see it. Then the winds of change. In the weeks following AN's stunning success in the polls in Ulster, a stirring of consciousness has begun to be noted among the Northern Catholic population, with comparisons to the watershed moment that the Sinn Féin's landslide victory in 1918 being frequently made. For too long had they been the bastard children of the Republic, disregarded by their fellow countrymen and expected to be a sacrificial lamb offered up to the altar of appeasing loyalists. They proclaim, and at last many Catholics have decided that enough is enough. Though the ascendance to power of the new government has proven encouraging to the Catholic community, plenty remain skeptical of what they see as a naive and ethical approach on the part of Labour to the situation in Ulster, and it felt a bitter sensation of having been let down. Taking matters into their own hands, prominent Ulster Catholics, in addition to some sympathetic Protestants and Southerners from all walks of life, including politicians across the political spectrum, came together in Belfast to announce the formation of a new organisation, the National League for Civil Liberties, or the NLCL, under the chairman of Kaiserreich, an independent TD and one of the most prominent Ulster Catholic leaders since the War of Independence. As Healy has informed interviewing reporters attending the conference, the NLCL professes to be a cross-party and cross-community group which seeks to apply pressure on Dublin to finally address the rampant anti-Catholic discrimination in the North, particularly in the areas of unemployment and housing. The government, in turn, has yet to respond to these developments, and though the desire for action is now ripe, it remains to be seen how effective this nascent movement will ultimately prove itself to be. Okay, political instability is growing. Very cool, very cool. Democratic program. Let's make the clergy happier. Uneasy alliance. Discontent of nationalists with Ulster is negative 11% stability. So the nationalists are pretty mad at us. Which I mean, like, I understand, but like, can you just like grow up? Liberty conscription we can take. It's fairly cheap. I'm happy to have it. And Hawaii joining Entente. The growing unrest brought instability in domestic and foreign affairs will come to a head in less than a year. Okay, so we have a year until this is finished up. What do I want to do about that right now? Ancestral ties will allow us to send volunteers to America. Car list, I need you to pull back immediately. I don't want you anywhere like near getting encircled, okay? Rallying to the call. Confounding the expectations of those who expected the National League for Civil Liberties Foundation to come to nothing, it soon became apparent that the organization enjoyed a frenzy of popularity from the disgruntled Catholics of Ulster, as plenty were quick to flock to the movement's banner. Though an initial march for Ulster against anti-Catholic discrimination within the province by the LCL was a peaceful affair, with Girardi maintaining by order by preventing the marchers from marching into loyalist areas or loyalists from attacking the protest, Its low-key nature meant it's attracted little attention from the press or from politicians, defeating the protest's main aim. Dialing up their tactics as a result, the NLCL recently organized a large parade and leafleting drive in Dublin under the banner Irish Rights for Irish Citizens, gaining approval from locals, even those who were otherwise in support of the political parties supportive of the ulster privileges, and achieving its goals in bringing the question of Catholic rights to the eyes of newspapers and the Dáil. Also, loyalist CDs have hit back at the protesters' allegations, decrying the NLCL as a blue shirt stalking horse. James Hanna McCormick, seizing the opportunity to present his Ulster Protestant League as a radical alternative to the UDP, declared that marches on an existential threat whose ultimately purpose was to impose a Portuguese despotism upon the people of Ulster and encourage loyalist counter-protest. You're threatening us with becoming Portuguese? I think that's a step too far, my dude. You can't threaten someone with that. Well, the Labour Party has been swift to promise to resolve the employment and housing situation in response to the protest. Behind closed doors, the issue had odds at them with other coalition partners, the NDP. As leader Shane Lamass is aloof to the plight of Ulster's Catholics and opposed to anything that could endanger the national stability and financial prospects due to loyalist outrage. Although Labour seems to reform on the key of ending sectarian tensions, they've got a difficult time convincing the NDP to agree. But I think with that, we can end this episode here.